What's good, y'all, and welcome to another edition of Should You Summon or Should You Save? This time we have once more 4 banners, which would be the Crazy Invocation 2x, Crazy Divine 2x, Special Invocation 15x and 15x on Divines.
Our research begins.
There is exactly 3 highlights we need to talk about. Number 1, the power of Vierna and her bond skill. Number 2, the importance of Laurel. And number 3, our first official look at the newest Valentine's heroes, which from the looks of it are going to be 2. They are more Chinese / Oriental themed. And obviously rumors are going around, rumors are going wild that, let me quickly put myself in front of here, that this girl right here is going to be a 200 limited summon. Now obviously that's still rumors, nothing confirmed, but the important part is it would make sense. Last year they brought us a 200 limited. Every big event they've given us a 200 limited, be it Halloween, okay, Halloween not quite, but be it Christmas, Valentines and other such festivities, always warranted the release of a limited unit to kinda make use of the hype, and also in general a limited unit being way more obtainable than just a normal released unit on a 15x, considering the fact that they are guaranteed at 200 summons. So these are the 2 units that mainly make out the reason for why you shouldn't summon, right? These are the ones, at least from the things we have confirmed. Otherwise, furthermore, on the note of Valentines, keep in mind there is a very likely chance for us to see a rerun of popular bond units with the Valentine's theme going on. So potentials like these would be a Silas Vierna banner, which is rather unlikely considering the fact that we have a Silas Vierna rerun right here, but it is still a possibility. It could once again be a Lust and Arrogance rerun, though we had that also quite recently. Now something that would be very interesting is a Yuri Kigiri banner, a never before seen banner that still kind of plays into this whole love story bond skill side of things, which would be a Kigiri Yuri banner, which means Kigiri would be back again as a limited unit. Then other notable options would also be a Hex Twyla banner. Enora might be able to make a return alongside of Vimerit. Those are kind of like the big ones to look out for when it comes to the bond skill / Valentine's romance combination, but obviously the highlight would have to be these 2 guys right there. So now that we have the Valentine's side of thing out of the way, let's briefly go through this banner right here. Start with the uninteresting stuff. Baran, second best epic tank in the entire game, just shortly behind Oleg. Incredible usefulness with this survivability passive right here, where when he gets killed he actually stays alive for 8 seconds. Also the more awakenings you have, like for example at A5 he recovers 50% HP once this state runs out. Also the ability to give himself a shield equal to 100% of his max HP, which is really nice. His awakenings also pretty clean, increasing his defense and attack, making the duration into 11 seconds, and then again the recovering. So if you're still looking for a solid tank, Baran is always a solid option. Atrox is kind of a weird one. He's basically like a mini Cerberus. So what you want to do with a Atrox is you want to place him down, you want to let him die, which is also not that hard because he can't get hit by allies. And then he's going to leave down these ground area of effect areas that are just going to do a whole bunch of damage in an AoE radius. He is quite useful for some niche pieces of content. I think the most popular one would have been certain arena variant teams, but I think they kind of fell out of favor with like the Waldron, Praetus, Ingrats of the world. And then obviously the Conqueror Codex, where he is quite useful. And outside of this, he's at least just a very unique unit to have. Also something noticeable would have to be that he has a redeployment time of only 20 seconds. Now the most important of the epics would have to be Laurel. Why is Laurel so important? It all has to do with her talent. Her talent right here at 5-star promotions means that when she dies, she provides 50% rage cap to every unit around her in an 8-tile radius. So the 3 in front of her, the 2 to the side, the 3 behind her. Everyone gets 50% of the rage. So for example, let's say a Comet has a rage cost of 1,400, he would get 700 rage. And let's say a Salazar has one of 700, he would get 350. The real kicker here though is it says upon death, but upon death for Laurel also counts upon redeployment, or basically upon picking her up and putting her in your hand again. What's the name for this? You know what I mean, right? Retreating, right? Upon retreating, she triggers the 50% rage. And the great part about Laurel is you do not need any of her awakenings. Like this cost one is quite nice, but you don't need it. You do not need any skill ups because she's more effective being taken out of the fight than staying in it. And gear wise also super simple. Some HP, like let's say a left side tank pieces, and then on the right side any kind of invigoration or wings of grace pieces. They could have defense substat, defense main set, attack main stat, any main set you could imagine, just 3 pieces on it so that she can also provide invigoration once you place her down. That's Laurel. If you do not own a Laurel yet, get her, because the amount of content you can use her in is incredible. You can use her in every single gear rate to incredible effect, be it gear rate 1, 2, and 3. She works incredibly well in gear rate, in gear dungeon 1. Gear dungeon 2 is slightly more tricky because the boss gets stronger every time you redeploy units, so that makes her weaker there. She is a meta, a staple in every single Guild Boss 1 team. With Guild Boss NM5 coming up, she's probably still not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So over there still powerful. Guild Boss 2, obviously once again the boss becomes stronger, which is an effective, or not the boss becomes stronger, but the redeployment time gets increased every time you deploy and redeploy, which is again a pretty much effective nerf against her. Though whenever you can use her, you're going to and you should be using her, because she is just that useful, because the name of the game is ultimate spam. Okay, so Kai obviously got a couple changes. He got some arena viability. They reworked his kit a bit. Though overall, I would say he's still no one that you could consider anywhere near must pull. He's something equal to, like, let's say a Razak, a Razak and a Nyx. He's just a very strong AoE marksman with the same type of range, but nowhere near strong enough to consider going for him all out. If you pull him, it's alright because he's not a bad unit, but he's also not going to revolutionize your account. And I think even for the Pelagius Codex, he is not one of the required units to get a top score. So he's kind of like the dud of the units right here, which leaves us with obviously the Wraith Queen Vierna. Considering the fact that a Vierna banner is happening exactly 1 week before Valentine's, once more it is unlikely for her to come back there. So if you have more than 200 summons to spare, because the 200s you kind of want to keep in your back pocket for the limited, you really do need her for Silas, right? So let's talk about her briefly first, herself, and then about the bond skill, which is the most controversial of them all. So she is incredibly easy to build because she doesn't need attack speed. As you can see, she can't use attack speed. So the only stats you need on her would be attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, and maybe rage regen. But even rage regen, you don't really notice it without her. So just 3 stats, attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, and you're done. Next up, you have this ability, Soul Extraction. Every time a unit dies in her range, she gets extra attack. So she can stack her attack even higher than let's say, other mages that don't have a attack stacking part in her kit. Also, Vierna's exclusive artifact. Her exclusive artifact, if you want to, we can briefly pull it up, but her exclusive artifact is also one of the reasons why Vierna is also desirable as a unit by herself. So let's briefly just go to, I think, the platform ones, so we should be able to find it really quickly. Here, Crown of Souls. She increases her damage by 20% AoE, so the same as, for example, an Unfortunate Skull would be doing. And then Soul Extraction no longer consumes souls, because what it says in her passive is that she would consume these souls upon using her ultimate, which just isn't the case anymore once you have that exclusive artifact. So that attack buff, basically the way you can imagine this is right here you get 3% per stack. You can stack it up to in a total of 12 times. So you're getting a permanent 42% attack boost through Vierna, and obviously she consumes them through her basic attack rather than through her ultimate. So yeah, if you have the exclusive, you get not only 20% AoE but also 36% permanent attack. Lastly, you have Skeleton Shield, which is kind of funny. So the way Skeleton Shield works is it takes her range, so this full mage square, or even you could say marksman square. This is the interesting part about Vierna. She has these extra 2 tiles. So normally a mage has a range like this. This is a normal mage range, but Vierna, for whatever reason, the developers decided to give her this marksman-esque range instead. And the way it works is if there's an ally in range with the lowest HP percentage, every 30 seconds, obviously reducing with or increasing the duration right here, as well as increasing the damage, she applies the bone shield to those. So what that does is they take 15% less physical, 10% and they take 15% less physical damage, and then she also deals 20% AoE damage around these targets. So damage increase and a physical damage reduction. And then the bond skill. The bond skill is which allows the bone shield, which she applies through her passive, to also heal for 10% of her current attack value per second. So Vierna might even at some point turn into somewhat something of a healer. Lastly, to finish everything off, you have Mortal Kiss, which is a debuff she inflicts on her basic attack. So she basic attacks, and then around the target she attacked, there's going to be a 25% AoE damage area of effect that is going to hit everybody, and this is non-cleansable, though this isn't super relevant in content yet. And then to finish off the super well-rounded kit, you have Vierna's Grasp, which deals 900% damage and has a 600 initial rage as well as 800 rage cost, with an execution threshold of 35%. So first 900% damage, then is it below 35%? Yes, execute, game over. Awakening wise, Mortal Kiss magic rest reduction is nice but not necessary. The A2 is nice but not necessary. The A3, when she kills an enemy with Mortal Kiss, she also deals more damage to other units around, also not necessary. Awakening, also not necessary. And here, again, not necessary. Vierna is one of these units that work perfectly and beautifully at A0. Though now the, once again, most controversial point about Vierna would have to be her bond skill with Silas over here. Silas, we all know what he does, we don't have to go about it too much. Overall, he ignores defense, he ignores 100% doing ultimate. He does a crap ton of damage. He also inflicts vulnerabilities and such with awakenings. But here's where it all comes together, and that is the bond skill Lost Love. As soon as you obtain a Vierna while also having a Silas, during the effect of Shadow Cloak, so during the effect of the ultimate, Soul Sniping deals an extra 100% damage. The issue is in the wording. So Snow Sniping normally does 140% damage that ignores 50% of the target's defense. That's what it normally does. During ultimate, that gets changed to 140% damage that ignores 100% defense, as well as him getting a 60% damage buff. And here's the worst part, and that is the 100% damage doesn't turn 140 into 240, but it turns 140 into 280%. And let me quickly show you how it looks like, and you might even be able to spot it, and that is the fact that let's hope we can get his ultimate ready before that guy walks through. Okay, let's briefly bring in a tank. And what you're going to see is, as soon as we obviously have it there, every time he shoots, there isn't just one, but there is two equal damage instances layered behind each other. So let's put in a Silas, let's put in, I don't know, a Torador. Doesn't really make too much of a difference who we put in here. Really just want to kind of show off that. So the general conclusion you have to take from this is your Silas is kind of a mid-tier / decent hero without the bond skill, but as soon as you get that bond skill, if you look at this, let's have a look. We slow down time, he takes his arrow, he aims, he shoots, the arrows hit, and there is one number and then there's two numbers. He shoots twice. This is the ridiculous part. It's not increases by 100%, but he legit gets a different animation, and you can really clearly see it here. Shoots two arrows instead of a single one. So, if you have extra summons and you either are missing Vierna and Laurel, give it a shot. If you don't, and if you're low on summons, wait for Valentines, because Valentines is guaranteed. Peace!